You're listening to the All Systems Go podcast, the show that teaches you everything you need to know to put your business on autopilot. Learn how to deploy automated marketing and sales systems in your business the right way with your host, the professor of automation himself and founder of Automation Bridge, Chris Davis.
Welcome to the All Systems Go podcast. I'm your host, Chris L. Davis, the founder of Automation Bridge, an online publication for small business marketing and sales automation, where we focus on turning digital marketing professionals into automation service providers. In this episode, I want to do some level setting and expectation setting around technology. Now, I've mentioned this in prior podcasts and they'll be listed in the resources, but I want to be a little more granular from the perspective of the one recommending the tech as well as the one asking for the recommendations, because there's just too much to get lost in translation to continue to have these vague conversations around the technology you should be using. There's also too much premature focus on the tech as well. All right, so we're going to discuss this today. Before I get started, if you're new to the podcast, first, welcome. Thank you for tuning in to the All Systems Go podcast. Listen to this episode in its entirety. I will give you an opportunity on the backside of this episode to leave your 5-star rating and review and subscribe. If you are a listener and not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Time to subscribe. The All Systems Go podcast is in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. You can subscribe on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. You can subscribe. Make sure you do that so you don't miss an episode. And while you're at it, leave a 5-star rating and review. It would be greatly appreciated. You can do that if you're like, where do I go? I'm not using Apple. What do I do? Go to automationbridge.com/review. And you'll be able to leave a 5-star rating and review. All right. So on to the topic at hand. Let's take a step back. This episode is to just provide more clarity. And I've got a lot of new listeners who haven't made it through the library. And before I continue to bring guests on that talk about their success with automation and what they've done, it's going to be so tempting for you to really start focusing on technology. Both parties, again, those who are using it daily and love doing it and those who get overwhelmed by it. You'll equally start to focus on it for the wrong reasons. All right. And as much as I love technology, I'll be the first to admit your success is not all about technology. Oh, I even cringed a bit when I said it, right? Now, don't get me wrong. Tech does play a critical role in your business growth and ongoing success. I mean, I've used it strategically to build and scale my business, and I plan to continue to do so at an even greater capacity as time goes on. But that's because I keep technology in its proper context. And the most frequent question and conversation that I engage in, well, I'll say I don't engage in. I mentally engage in them, but I won't verbally respond to them anymore, is what technology should I use? Those of you who are listening, when's the last time you've asked that question? And when's the last time you've answered that question? If you're in marketing, I'd be shocked if 24 to 48 hours has gone by before you were asked that question or answered that question. Right? And this is very tempting. It is a very tempting question to answer, especially if your world is tech and you just love playing with new technology. I had to learn, everybody. I had to learn to work through that initial excitement and really scale back and probe a bit, right? And it's equally tempting to ask this vague question with an expectation of a specific answer that will solve a specific problem. You know what this is like? This is like you asking somebody, who should I marry? I am not exaggerating. Like, there is so much context that's missing. It's just kind of like, I don't know, pick him, pick her, like, do anything. I don't know anything about you, what you're trying to do, the life you're trying to live. I don't know. Right now, first off, if you asked that question, that would give the person who heard the question good insight on exactly the type of person you are and where you're at in life. If you just ask a vague, who should I marry? It's safe to say you're lost. You need some direction. You need a vision. You need to go back to the drawing board, right? But yet, business owners can ask this and they're immune from such judgment. This is not an innocent question. This is an ignorant question. And I guess I should have warned you all. I'm going to be a bit more direct and aggressive here because this has to stop. It's leading people down the wrong path. Okay. These vague, what should I use? I don't know. Go Google it and pick the first thing that comes up. You asking in a group is no better than you just doing. Pick a stranger. Go to your local convenience store and just grab somebody and say, hey, what tool should I use to send email? And just use what they say. How could you truly expect a result or advice that's truly going to move your business forward with such a vague question with no context, let alone no understanding of what you're truly trying to do? So it's tempting. I get it. It's tempting on both sides. And that's what creates this dynamic. And this is why, and my avid listeners know this, I've said this so many times, I cringe every time I'm in a group and they ask, what's the best software for blank? And it's in every group. You know, I won't say the group, but one of the groups that I highly respect and hold dear to my heart, I witnessed someone ask about email marketing. They were like, what's the best tool for email marketing? And I will tell you this, some of the tools people mentioned were so terrible that the people answering, they should have their privileges revoked to ever speak on anything marketing related, not just in that group, like everywhere. I don't know if you all saw the movie Pootie Tang, but every time he did something wrong, his dad and his belt would show up out of nowhere and be like, whoosh. Right? Like every time he did something wrong, that's what needs to happen to them. Every time. I don't care if it's in your bedroom talking to a friend, because of the terrible advice you gave. Every time you attempt to mention, those privileges should be revoked. Somebody should come and just slap the answer out your mouth before it comes out. I'm serious, because had somebody listened to that, they would be lost. They would be lost in their business, and they would honestly have no one to blame but themselves. Right? But look, that's what a vague question gets you. So the fault is on both sides. Right? So how do we solve it? Where do we go from here? The answer is what it's always been: your process. And if you're tired of hearing that, that just means you haven't seen the power of it. Every business owner that I know, and this is the ones that don't operate proficiently with tech, is in some form of constant overwhelm in their business because they keep trying to understand what technology to use. You couple that with an infinite amount of friends and experts and access to information who love to give their advice and recommendations on what that business owner should be doing. Read a blog post. Hey, I use this software. Read another one. You should really use this. Read another one. If you really want to be successful, do this. Right? And they need a voice of reason, someone to filter through it all, steer them the right way. But more so, they need as much clarity on their processes and what they're trying to do as possible. I mentioned in, I forget what episode, a previous episode, how to break free from following the leader. And it focused on the strategy. This is it. This is why. Because if I don't, and you know what, I'm not going to say this anymore. I just made the executive decision. This will be my last time speaking on this publicly. Okay. I've got two other podcasts that touch on this topic from a different perspective. I'll list those in the show notes. We've talked about strategy, the power of strategy, how to not bypass process. All of those things have been covered. So this is the final. This is the final straw, which means if you're connected with me in any capacity in my trainings, in my communities or anything, and I see you doing this is ban worthy. Okay. Let alone will I be participating in anyone asking me this question without providing context. So let me break this down. All right. So again, you need as much clarity on your processes and what you're trying to do. My wife and I, first off, congratulations to my wife. She just recently launched her business. It was all her, as tempting as it was to jump in and help her build her website and do all of this. I didn't. I was hands off. It was all her. And I'm extremely proud of her and happy for her. Right. So she launched her business and found herself in this position, which is what prompted this, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, this is still happening. I need to get the word out to even more, right? But here's what. so in the usual Chris Davis /husband/ marketing automation expert fashion, I was compelled to remove her from the potential path of frustration she was headed down. That's what this is for. I need to remove you from the path, everybody. The conversation was like this. Oh, so many choices. This is random. I walked in, our office one day. So many choices. Calendly, Acuity. I don't even know what that is, right? So that tickled me a little bit. I thought that was cute. I said, oh, it's cute. Those are the top online scheduling platforms, and she's never heard of them. And, it's just always good to get engaged with people who aren't in the tech space, right? So I thought that was cute until she turns and says, have you heard of Flowdesk? Now, I don't have anything wrong with Flowdesk. It's a software that I would never use. It's rudimentary at best. It does some basic things okay, but doesn't do anything great, doesn't appeal to me in any capacity, would not fit in any way that I teach people to do anything. But that's me. That's me. How dare I project that onto you without knowing more context? So before I answered, I had to remove my irritation and frustration, because the very thing that I've been witnessing online take place carelessly has now infiltrated my home. How did you get here? You're not supposed to be here. What's going on, right? So I calmed myself down so I could reply. And I replied this way, as calm as I could. I said, you don't need to worry about technology. And her rebuttal was quick. Yes, I do. I need systems in place. How else am I supposed to know what to use? And there lied the rub. I said, you know what? This is an innocent journey on her behalf that could have grave implications of devastation. Right? I have been teaching systems. I have been telling you, get your systems in place. Use technology to automate it. Scale. That's what people hear. What I've really been saying is strategy first. Make sure you go and define your strategy. Take the time to plan your marketing before you execute it. Identify your metrics, identify your targets so that you know how you're doing. Don't be afraid to start manual, automate later. I've been saying that as well. What do people hear? Systems, automation, scale, grow. Don't do that. Automate it. And it's not because of me. Trust me, I'm not taking the blame here, everybody. That's not what this is. I play my part, a small part, but the bigger part is everyone else. Haphazardly throwing automations and systems, terminology and jargon out there. Funnel this and use this tool. They're the ones at fault, right? So in my mind, I was asking, and I'm going to propose these questions to you. Do you really need to know the tools? Right? Or are you unaware of where you really should be focusing on, and learning about tools gives you an easy target and feeling of accomplishment, even though it's going to overwhelm you and potentially kill all of your momentum in business? That's what I think is really happening. It's easier to focus on technology and all the options and the frustration that comes with it, because I'll be honest with you, everybody, I'm different. I'm different now. I get overwhelmed with tech too. I do. It's too many options. Listen to me. I am the tech person. I was just yesterday derailed because I ran across a new software that could potentially solve some problems that I've been having just collectively in like my community academy courses and all of that. And this was not planned. I did not have time planned to do this. And I'm off for like 4 hours, diving deep, purchased the thing, tested it out, trying to, see if it fits my considerations. But that was a guided exploration because I'm clear with my considerations of what I needed to do. But still, it's just another tool. And tomorrow there'll be another one. And then next week there'll be 4 more. Right? So I too am overwhelmed. And that's why I just had to, I just felt this is aligned with the market and where we are right now at the time of this recording. And that's where I had to say, you know what? We can focus on technology, but it's not about technology. Because if it was, I would be in a constant state of overwhelm, just like the next business owner who's not proficient in the technical operations of their business. I would. I'm not immune to this. And that's when I realized being intentionally introspective. That's when I realized, Chris, you feel it. You just don't fall subject to it. Right? Like as soon as the overwhelm comes on, I shut it off. And I say, you know what? I'm not going to focus on that. Is me focusing on that going to impact in any way a increase in my bank account today or tomorrow? And if it can't, if it won't, then I don't focus anything on it. Now it gets a little interesting when it will impact. Then I use a disciplined approach. And for me, everybody, I have to look at my clock and I say, okay, in 10 minutes, I'm giving myself 10 to 15 minutes to do this thing, wherever I'm at the end of that 10 to 15 minutes, I have to stop, get some real work done, and I can revisit this once my work is finished. That is my disciplined approach to technology. And I know how to implement it. You don't know technology and shouldn't be implementing it. And you're trying to figure it out, right? And many business owners can resonate with this, right? If you don't focus on the tools and learn this stuff, who will? How will it get done? Right? This is what you're truly thinking about. And the simple answer is not you. Okay, so I hope that answers it forever. How will I know what tools to use? Where can I learn this stuff? Who's going to do it for me? Not you. That is the question. So if you're not going to do it, you need to now focus on what you can do. Okay? Because the truth of the matter is you're just not fit to assess or implement technology for your business. Although people will treat you like you are, right? Just recommending tools to use and things of that. Oh, yeah, you should try this. Oh, it's easy. Just sign up and, click a few buttons. Oh, yeah, use this. Right? And sometimes, let's be honest, it's in response to the business owner asking a question. You ask the question, hey, what should I use? Right? And they carelessly respond. So what was my reply? I'm not lost. I'm still on track. Remember, her rebuttal was, yes, I do. I need systems in place. How else will I know what to use, right? What's my reply? You just need to focus on your processes. That's it. Just focus on that. Get as much clarity as possible on those because that's going to guide the technology conversation and show you exactly what to look for in a tool or software. You need to know who to say yes and no to. Now, let's go back. Who should I marry? Right? You need to sit back and figure out what you like, what you want, what your goals are, right? Like what type of life you're trying to live, kind of home you want to establish, all of those things. Now, when you ask the question, tell me all of those things, and I'll be able to better guide you. But don't come asking this vague question. What tool should I use? And what you're doing is you're putting the work that you should have done to get clear on your considerations from your processes. You're just putting that lazily on someone else. Just like, hey, figure it all out for me. It's really what you're saying. And I cover this in my masterclass. And again, I've spoken on it many times in the podcast. I'll link those as well. But I need you all to get this for 2021 and beyond. We can't do this. We cannot. The masterclass, it speaks about strategy first. I go through all the systems, but this keeps showing up. And this is how it shows up in a real world context. Many of you are still operating as a hospital. You're still driving the automation ambulance from injuries suffered by the business owner from erroneous tools, most of which they got recommended by careless advice from people who care about them. Right? They thought they were helping them out. So both sides have good intentions, but one is going to walk away frustrated and wounded. Now you're acting desperately. And as you all know, I don't drive the automation ambulance. And many of the people who I mentor, they retire their license to drive. Well, I think truck drivers get like CDL licenses or something like this. They retire their Class A license to drive the ambulance. And I'm just saying Class A for ambulance. I don't know what kind of driving license you need for an ambulance, but they retire theirs because we're not reactive. Reactive marketing is too close to desperate marketing. Okay, so we stay away from that. But again, I get both sides have intentions. You're trying to solve a problem, and this technical terrain is not navigated easily. I'm sorry. It's going to cost. It's going to cost you time, and it's going to cost you resources. And by time, I mean it's going to cost you time to get clear on what you need done. By resources, it's going to cost some time to find the people to do it for you. Right? So if you're a business owner like that doesn't get the tech operations, take tech off the table. It's important to figure out, but it's not your most important job. You need to clarify your processes, mainly through manual execution. Make the phone call, send the email, create the invoice, right? Send the text message, but document it all. Pay attention. Every client will give you things that you like about them and don't like about them. It's now you can have a more guided conversation. Right? And start putting parameters and really clarifying to the next client. That's the work, right? You don't need a sales page. Why are you sitting up here focused on hiring somebody off Upwork, Fiverr, Facebook group, whatever, to build out a sales page when you don't even know the copy because you don't know what you're selling and you don't know the transformation it provides? Explain it in an email. Send it. See what they say. If they say yes, wait a minute. Let me save this email. This is my first draft of a sales page. Guess what? We just removed all technology. And when I say removed all, yes, email is technology. I'm talking about third-party marketing and sales technology. Right? You need to do this so that you'll be able to have the right conversation when you find the right marketer to do this for you. Okay? If you're a digital marketing professional, stop recommending tools out of context. Okay? If somebody just asks, what tool should I use? And you're not asking and you're not probing before you recommend, shame on you. You need your credentials revoked. If all you do is recommend the best tool that you're using, that you're using and having success with, without having the context of their business, their acumen, their team structure, their strategy, how can you? That's not help. That is not help. Let's be honest. Can we be honest? That's showing off. You just want to be the first to say what you're using so people look and say, ooh, wow. To the ignorant eye, that works. To the trained eye, you're being careless. And I'll never respect such an approach to such an important entity as someone else's business. You will lose respect for me forever. It's an unforgivable offense because it costs these businesses too much. It does. Too many of you are skipping over this step of clarifying and getting clear with your considerations, clarifying your processes, streamlining them as much as possible, operating low tech, and looking for a technological savior for your business. Tech will help. Tech will help you scale, and tech will help you operate in a way that is absolutely just mind-blowing, right? But you have to do the work and learn your processes intimately. Let your needs be the indicator, right? From manually executing these processes, you'll start getting your sore points like, man, I wish there was a way to do this, right? That's an indicator of a potential software, right? It's a balance. I recorded this different levels of business when you're starting and, you're breaking even. There's different technologies introduced at each stage. So yes, you're going to use some technology in the beginning, in the middle, and the end. But it's not about the technology. It's about your process. I can take any process and execute it in a variety of tools. Every stack will look different. And guess what? Each stack can produce results. What's the difference, Chris? How they operate, how you operate, and the level of freedom they provide you. You see that? So based on what you want to do, based on your goals, your vision, and how you want to operate in and on your business, that's going to determine your stack. Your technology stack is what I mean when I say stack. Okay? And again, you're going to use some tech to get started, mainly lead generation. If there's one thing that I would say every new business needs is lead generation. You need a landing page and some way to capture information, period. I didn't say a website. I said a landing page. Every business needs that. I get that. But you need to use what I call MTR, minimal tech required, to get you operating in your business, and then let that operation define your needs, right? Then let a true expert recommend and implement it. That's how you're going to grow your business in 2021 and beyond. Okay. I need you. Again, I am not going to mention this, and I'm not going to participate in the what software should I use. It's different. In my community, I have context. I know your business, right? I know you've answered questions I've answered, so it's a safer environment because it's intentional and it's an intimate space. But out here in the wild, come on, man. Why don't you just go ask, who wants to watch my children? Won't you ask that? That's how careless that question is. So hopefully, this stung enough for you to not ask that question again without providing context, and for you to not provide an answer without getting context. Let me say this. The conversation is different if you say, hey, I'm a service-based business. I generally generate 10 to 20 leads per week, and I drive them to a scheduling software. This scheduling software, I would like to ask some questions up front just so I can know who they are on the call. Anybody have recommendations on the technology I can use to capture information before they schedule their appointment? Is that not a different conversation? You're going to get different answers too. Now, if you get even more, I want to be able to conditionally display form fields based on what they input. You're filtering down, through being very specific with what you need. You're removing all of the overwhelm because there's only a few tools that can do that. Right? Different conversation. Hey, what should I be using for email? Hey, I run a monthly newsletter, and what I'm realizing is I'm not segmenting like I need to be. I want to be able to segment based on not just opens and clicks, but website visits. I want to integrate it with my membership platform so I know what courses they're in. And I want to get more dynamic with my segmentation. Is there any technology that you all are using to do that or would recommend? Different conversation. Tell you right now, MailChimp ain't going to do that. It's not going to work. Flowdesk, not going to work. I mean, you're eliminating all of them through being very clear with what you need done. Now, you may not be able to get to that level of clarity by yourself, but this is why there are people like myself and all of my mentees and everybody that's connected with me. This is why we exist, to help you have the right conversation and guide you down the right path. So who needed to hear this, everybody? I'll tell you who. Today, I'm going to make it simple. The next time you're in a group and somebody asks this question, hey, what should I use? Say, you know what? I don't care if you direct message them. I don't care if you link and say, hey, listen to this. Most of the time when people get agitated, what they say is Google is your friend. I think this episode is better than Google. Okay. They need to listen to this and they need to get it together. The next time you see somebody on that thread, oh, use this, use Mail Machine Gun Light for your email marketing. What? Use pink is the best color. Ink for your email marketing. Like some of the names that people, I can't even trust the software based on the name, but yet they're quick to throw it out there again. They want to show off a bit. I know what it is. If we're honest, right? You use those threads as showing off. It ain't got nothing to do with helping. So the next time you see somebody do that humble, that fake help, that's what we're going to call it. Fake help. Let them know about this episode. Get them in check. I've recorded it all. I can check them for you. You don't have to say anything. It will not be an argument because their results can't beat mine. I promise you that. So share it at a minimum with those, but also share with that person who's just starting their business. They've just launched. You see all that momentum that they have. Protect that momentum. They're going to need it. It should not be spent on technology. All right. So if you found value in today's episode, please share. Please share. Share on social. Get the word out. For those that are my first time listeners, now is the time to leave that 5-star rating and review and subscribe. Go ahead. The podcast will still play in the background of your app. Whatever device you're on, it'll still play in the background. Just go leave that 5-star rating and review. Here at Automation Bridge, we're dedicated to training digital marketing professionals to become automation service providers. These are people who don't commit what I just showed you. They know how to probe and get context, help you get clear on your strategy and your processes, and then marry that discovery with the right tools. Okay. To be able to deploy automated systems in your business for rapid growth. That's what automation service providers do. Okay. And if in me saying this, you want to be a part of that movement, man, I want to help. You're right. I see it all the time, Chris. Get me in the game, coach. I'm ready. Here's your call. I want you to go to automationbridge.com/ASP to take the next steps to talk to someone on my team to assess if you'd be a good fit for our program. Okay, we're going to ask you a couple questions. It's not open to any and everybody, right? We want to make sure you're a good fit. But automationbridge.com/ASP is where you can do that. The time is now. The need has never been greater. I'm looking for people who are looking to act urgently. Maybe you still want to go play around some more and, playing around is not affecting your bottom line and maybe you're not living off your business income. So, okay, go ahead. You have fun. But for those of you that know I need to go kill today what I'm eating tomorrow, listen, you don't have time. You don't have time to be playing around, playing these games, going from free course, cheap course to next, right? You need a proven framework. You need somebody to walk you through a proven framework to get the systems in place for your business so you can better implement systems for other people's businesses. If you so choose, you may just put the systems in for your business and say, hey, look, I like that. This is it. Right? So be it. So automationbridge.com/ASP is where you can go for that. All of the show notes and podcasts are accessible at automationbridge.com/podcast. You can subscribe there and listen to all other episodes at your leisure. So until next time I see you online, automate responsibly, my friends.